People who have been on reality TV shows, what's rigged and what's not. My friend was on What Not to Wear, and I was in the audience of people who were there to react when she came out from behind the curtain with her new look. She came out over and over again. But our cheering was never enthusiastic enough for the producers. After about 10 takes, we were screaming our heads off, totally hysterical, as if we'd just seen her rise from the dead. So that part was fake. I thought she just looked alright. Sob stories on singing shows, it's not the contestant's fault. I made it through a few rounds for a well-known singing show and they beg you for sob stories. On my very first application form, I was asked about the most difficult moment in my life, what obstacles I'd overcome to be there, had I ever experienced bullying, etc. They pretty much make you tell them a sob story. So I wrote all about my heartbreak when I ran out of coffee. My sister's fiancée was on 16 and pregnant. The children are real. Thanks for that, Adam. My aunt and uncle were on Love It or List It. They had them record both endings and the network chose which one they thought was best. They are still in the house and they love it. But the show says they listed it. I know someone who was on that show when it was in Raleigh. Here's how the show works, according to what they told me. As mentioned, nobody wants to list their house, they just want a free renovation and to be on TV. However, the show only pays for 50% of the work they do on your house, and the producers do what they want for TV and don't really respect the homeowner's wishes. They shoot a bunch of episodes in one market at a time, so they use one set of contractors for all of the homes. If they get behind on the work on a given home, they pretend that the work is done so they can wrap on the episode, then they take the crew with them to the next house. You then have to live in an unfinished renovation until the whole set of episodes is finished and the crew can get back to you. This can be months or not at all. It has been an awful experience for many in this market, but the contract is so immensely in the favor of the production company, the homeowners don't really have any reasonable recourse to get things finished or fixed in the cases stuff was done wrong. My cousin was on a Toronto dating show called Matchmaker many years ago. She said it was completely scripted and she met her blind date before filming so the producers could go over the script with them. They were given a list of ridiculous and racy questions to ask each other and encouraged to make out if they actually liked each other or to cause a scene and be dramatic if they didn't really click. I worked the launch party of this show. It was pretty bad. No one seemed to care or want to be there. The host was strutting around like the next Ryan Seacrest. The people on the show were all kinda just standing around. A friend was on a few episodes of the short-lived, real-world type show called The Lofters in Toronto, CA 2001 or 2002. The friend was the love interest of one of the actual lofters. At a party on set, filmed, part of the show, the friend got drunk and handsy. After, the entire group had a debriefing about his creepiness. All of this was a major arc of the couple of episodes, and all of it was on camera. Finally, the friend was dumped at the end of the episode, specifically in reference to the party creepiness. For my friend group, it was such a cringy, awkward time. Everyone saw it on TV. No one really talked about it. It was a bad time. My daughter and her boyfriend were on divorce court. They were not married, and the show's producers helped them tailor their story, which was completely made up, to be more interesting. They are now married and since they've already been divorced it should last forever. My cousin was on there with her ex-husband. One of the things they were arguing over was a car he left in her trailer's driveway. In reality, they were getting along just fine but just wanted the limo ride and cash for appearing. I was pretty young so I don't remember all the details, but all I remember is flipping through the channel with my dad and backtracking when I saw her face and name. We watched in silent horror for a minute when my dad asked me not share this with anyone but I was already on the phone with my best friend telling her to put on Channel 5. Everything on Pawn Stars is scripted too. They bought a Jeep for my friend and he was even told when and how to smile or smirk when giving the interview. I know someone who visited the shop as a tourist and they pulled something out of the back, and handed it to him to sell them. What if he wouldn't agree to their price and just walked out with the item? I bulging hands on hips long blowing sigh I can take that price, even though the item was reasonably priced, okay. I will look somewhere else. Thanks. Walks out with Michael Jackson's shoes. Moon walks out in Michael Jackson's shoes. Hee. Armed guard at the door. I stopped by on a Vegas trip and there was a serious looking dude in body armor and a Glock on his hip at the door. They don't show him on TV. Some friends of mine went on cash cab. One guy was chosen the day before and told to come with up to 4 friends to a certain spot the next afternoon. They met a producer who hailed a cab and were told they were going to a game show. They had to reshoot getting into the cab because my one friend said something like, "What are the chances? We're on our way to another game show." I have worked on several reality shows. Some are more fake than others, but they are all heavily scheduled and formatted, never spontaneous. I worked on a certain MTV dating show where one of the contestants tried to escape the house in the middle of the night, and one of the production assistants had to tackle him in the front yard and drag him back into the house. It's like prison. They are completely cut out from the outside world, no computer, books, phones, watches, and they are fed mostly booze. They all go insane. Also, if the show doesn't air, they don't win their prize money. This is a standard for all competition reality shows. I have a friend who signed up to audition for a show that she thought was The Bachelorette or something similar. I guess it's standard practice to not give the actual name of the show, and just say, "We need good-looking, energetic young women for blah blah blah." So she got called back, went through a few different interviews and a screen test. Finally, they tell her that the concept is that she will be running a pawn shop with another woman. She is a dental assistant with no experience remotely related to the pawn business. Pawn Queens ended up being on for 2 seasons and they gave her a backstory about why she got interested in the pawn business. Not exactly shocking, but it was pretty interesting to see that they basically looked for hot girls first, then put them into a proven concept, Pawn Stars type reality show. A friend of mine was on Shark Tank recently. The episode hasn't aired yet so we don't know how they will edit the story to be, but they did get an actual deal with actual money from Mr. Wonderful. I had a friend on Cash in the Attic in the UK. The idea is that some antique dealers and so on will scout around in your attic garage shed and find valuable items to sell. They found precisely fuck all in my friend's house, so they pulled some paintings and a vase out of the van, found them, then asked him to go and get changed so they could film a segment from after the sale. It all seems like a complete waste of time, aside from the couple of £100 they gave him. Damn. Are you saying I can even trust Cash in the Attic? That is perfect hangover TV. Cash in the Attic, Bargain Hunt, Antiques Roadshow. Perfect for when you're hungover and just want to switch your brain off and mung out in front of the telly. My favorite was the short-lived BBC series Trust Me, I'm a Dealer, where some twat in a tweed suit would take people's antiques and then swap them for more and more expensive antiques and try to make a profit. It was hilarious because the presenter would lose their money 90% of the time and just shrug it off by going, "Well, that's always the chance you take with antiques." Then he would casually drive off down the road in his Aston Martin while this poor elderly couple try to put on a brave face as they say goodbye to that holiday home in the Peak District they've always wanted. I was on a show geared towards preteens and teenagers that tried to imitate Fear Factor on YTV. They had us compete in various unique athletic competitions and other things. Most of it was surprisingly real. We actually did compete. Our scores were based on our performance in the task. The one thing that wasn't real was that the episode made it look like everything happened in a day, when in reality, it took about 5 days to film. Overall, it was a really cool experience that I wouldn't trade for the world. Please tell me it was with Wink Yahoo. I was on as a kid. I can confirm several things for you. It was not scripted, just 22 minutes of running around doing the things. They ran a tight ship, and did several episodes one after another. The winners were not predetermined and we actually got the prizes in order of our success. The editing didn't do that much. There was an error in the first third in one of the episodes previous to mine, where I was in the audience, where I think someone yelled one of the answers, and they just started the whole episode over. Wink Yahoo is super tall in person, and the announcer is really nice. The Punisher does not talk, but does give high fives. In the very first episode of Top Chef they ever filmed, Tom Colicchio flipped out because the dishes the contestants have cooked were getting cold while the film crew took food porn shots of them. From then on, all the contestants have to prepare 2 dishes. One for the judges to sample, and one for the cameras to pan over and show the audience. You know, it really depends on the type of show you are on because they vary so wildly in style. I've worked on a number of reality shows as a lighting technician. The ones I can remember the most are The Amazing Race, The Great Escape, Kitchen Nightmares, and Twinning. Twinning was the one that was most like Jersey Shore or the real world. Definitely not fake, but casting is so important. You don't need to fake anything when the people you is filming 24 hours a day are absolutely nuts. They'll decide at certain points to play God a little bit and move them into rooms with people they hate or give them alcohol when they realize 2 people have a thing together, but aren't acting on it. The producers of all of these shows just sit in a room and figure out how to create drama. I've had friends work on Duck Dynasty and it sounds like what Johan Frigget is saying. Everything in that show was scripted and they would do multiple takes and get coverage. Very fake, basically a TV show shot in a reality format. Shows like The Amazing Race and The Great Escape on the other hand are pretty dang real. Because of the obstacles and challenges they are interesting enough without the producers interfering that much. On The Great Escape, because of the style of the show, we would go back the next day and reshoot key moments in a cinematic way to push that style. While it was fake, it was still pretty dang real. Oh, and Kitchen Nightmares is very real. Gordon Ramsay is just basically a producer that is in the show. He knows what good TV is and how to get it. They pick terrible businesses and the show writes itself. The remodels are always funny though, as they are just so on the surface. I'm late, but whatever. Pit bulls and parolees on Animal Planet. I used to work at the main warehouse where they filmed everything. Not sure if I'm actually on the show at all, but if I am, I'm just in the background scratching my ass. Everyone that works there only tolerates filming because it's more money for the dogs. The camera crews would try and get people to recreate things they missed, but most of us weren't very cooperative. Everyone on the show and in the rest of the staff really just wants the best for the dogs. From what I have seen, anything that was staged were things that had actually happened and the camera crew wasn't around for. The dogs there are amazing. All the horrible things they had been through, and they remain so lovable. I miss all my furry buddies there. House Hunter type shows have usually already bought the place that wins. It's a requirement to be on House Hunters that you are already closing on a house. It's free advertising for the agent and a way to be on TV for the couple. That being said, I still watch the shit out of those shows. Interesting to see what $X gets you around the world.